Hello friends, welcome to this session. I'm Sanyukta Saxena and today I think will be the ninth session of this series wherein we are exploring two tangles per session and we are basically picking up the tangles randomly. So basically what I had done was I had picked up tangles randomly from M to Z. Yes, so some of the tangles which we use quite rarely, or at least I don't use very often. So those kind of tangles I picked up, but I chose from the alphabet M till Z. There are so many such tangles. So again today I'm going to pick two chits randomly and let's see what's in store for us today. So there are a couple of chits left now. Okay, so this tangle is called Vitruvius and this tangle is called Tidings. Wow, so again an interesting combination. uh, as such there is no inking involved in any of these two tangles, but we shall see how can we combine these two tangles beautifully to create a beautiful composition or a beautiful tile. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with a very simple string and basically draw a V on my tile, something like this. Yes, and I will start with the tangle tidings in these spaces. So I'm going to use my O5 and draw some S randomly. I'm first starting with the tangle tidings. Yes, so there is an invisible string here. I'm not inking it right now, but we shall see, if we wish we can always ink it later on. So I'm adding some S, actually the alphabet S. Yes, you can either round the ends or you can just make it like a fescue, whichever way you like it. I think the fescue will look better. Something like this. Slowly started with my tangle tidings, which is again a very aura based tangle. You can have S of different sizes. There is no rule that you have to draw all the S's of the same size. You can also draw behind if you want, something like this. Yes, so let's make it a little more prominent because the rest will be all auras like this. And now I'm going to switch to a finer nib, my O1, and I'm going to start auraing each of these S's. Right? Again, I'm going to aura each at the same time. So one aura to each. Starting with a close aura. Slowly take your time. Going to the second aura. Don't haste up. Take your time. If you want to add some more S's, you can always go back and do that. So I'm going pretty slow, auraing each of my S closely. Going to the third aura. As you start, your hand is a bit stiff. However, slowly as you add more and more auras, your hand kind of eases out, so it moves more freely. Okay. Not crossing this line, kind of abiding by the string as of now. Right? Not cutting lines anywhere, not cutting auras anywhere. So once you have added a couple of auras to your S, after that you can just go ahead and aura the in-between spaces. Slowly take your time. You can see, you can even start to connect the S shapes. Yes, even that is possible. So what I'm going to do is aura this section and then fill it up with further auras like this. Aura this small section and fill it up with further auras like this. Aura this section. So it's up to you. You can continue auraing your S's, or after reaching a certain point you can just aura the remaining sections. Small spaces. So take your time. Here if you wish you can add a few more auras. Connected auras maybe like this. Slowly take your time. Don't haste up. Give it that time. Yes, let us add aura here also. Using a finer nib. And the last section here. Right, like this. So that's tiding on one side of the tile. Let's do the same exercise on the other side also. So I'm going to start with some bold S, just the way we did in the other section. Adding fescues at the end. You can also add dots if you wish. The S's need not be of the same size or shape. Take your time. Right? So let's now start to aura. Exactly the same way as we did the other side. I'm first adding a close aura. As close as possible. Tangle pattern tidings. As I mentioned, the S can be bigger, it can be smaller, depends on accordingly the look of the tangle will be different. So the look will differ as per the size of your S, the spacing, and how you aura, whether you aura it closely or if your auras are kind of spaced out. So everything will have an effect on the look of this tangle. So once you add one or two auras, then your hand automatically starts to move more freely. Slowly take your time. The S can be more open. For example, if you don't want to draw the S like this, you can also draw big S's like this, and again the look of your tangle will vary. Yes, so just go with what you feel like at that point in time. Tangles are basically suggestions to draw, but you can always play around. I'm not playing around much with these tangles as far as this series is concerned, because it's about exploring the tangle as is original tangles, which I don't use quite often. So take your time, and I'm going to quickly do this exercise and get back. You can also start to connect, right? So you can aura two of them together, aura three of them together. So I'm almost finishing drawing my tidings, just auraing the remaining spaces. As I mentioned, you can either continue to aura your S's, or you can aura the remaining space like this. Now the rest of the space, I'm going to place the tangle Vitruvius, which is drawn inside orbs. So I'm going to draw some orbs, some full, some partial. It is always a good idea to draw behind, some big, some small. Vary the size, draw behind. Draw as many as you feel like. Slowly, I'm filling up the entire space with orbs, trying to draw behind as much as I can. A small one here. Right, now there are in between spaces. We shall see what do we, either you can go with small tiny tipples, or you can ink the space. Since we don't have much of drama on this tile, and the tangle Vitruvius is also more or less line based, I'm going to ink the in between sections, and then probably we can add some fine dots with our GellyRoll to add that drama to our tile. Right, so slowly go to each of these intersectices. Small, big, just add that dash of black. See how it adds to the look of your tile in such an easy and simple way. So I'm almost done with my inking, just one or two more sections left. Right, now let us again switch to finer nib, and I'm going to draw the tangle Vitruvius. So how do we draw? We just have to alternate squares and circles. Yes, the next one, again a square or somewhat square, again a circle, again a square, circle. Almost starts to look like a flower, whereas the strokes are just squares and circles. Yes, so that's the tangle. If you want, you can add some bit of embellishment, something like this, but these things are up to you. You may not do it. It's not a part of the original tangle. I just felt like doing it. Just some fine lines at the edges. Let's do the second one. Draw behind wherever required. Again, circle. Again, a square or a rectangle. Again, circle. Again, a square, circle. Fun tangle to draw, isn't it? And you don't realize in such an easy and simple way you actually draw something like a flower. Tangle is called Vitruvius. So you can just add some bit of fine lines and thatching at the ends, but this is optional. You may or may not do it. So I'm going to do this exercise for all. Now that you know, probably you can draw it a little faster. And we are done. Very fine lines, dots, like this. Let's go further. Square, orb, square, orb, square, and that's it. So up to you if you want to ink all, if you want to draw Vitruvius inside all the orbs, or if you wish you can also leave some of the orbs as such. Yeah, so even that is possible. Don't bother if the circle is perfect or not. Don't bother if the square looks like a rectangle. That's fine, not relevant. Just go with the flow. Everything looks nice as far as Zentangle is concerned. Just take a cue from how I'm drawing the tangle. Make it your own. Give it your own personal touch. Enjoy the process. Yes, so I'm going to draw the same way. I think by now you got a picture how to go about drawing it. So I'm done with drawing my Vitruvius, this beautiful tangle. Let us now go ahead and shade our tile first, and then we shall see if we want to do or add further things. We can always do that. So I'm adding some dark shadow here. Pushing my pencil hard to add a little darker shadow. And then I'm going to pull it out. Keeping the edges a little darker. I'm I'm also going to add here at the end again, pull it out. So I've shaded the two sides. Now let's move on to our Vitruvius. So what I'm going to do is the ones which I have not added, the orbs which are empty where I have not added Vitruvius, I'm just going to convert it into a droplet. Since we were thinking of drawing a droplet for quite some time, I'm adding an aura inside, and then I'm adding a highlight, adding some shadow. Let's do that for all. Smaller ones, adding an aura inside, adding a small highlight and some shadow underneath, adding an aura and a small highlight. So just going with the spaces I have. Yes, and the Vitruvius, I'm just going to add shadow on one side. There are a whole lot of ways in which you can go about shading it. This is how I feel like at this point in time. So I'm going to add shadow on one side, just like I shade my jetties or anything, any tangle which is drawn inside an orb. It's a good idea to give this high and low kind of an effect. Yes, so the edges are a little darker, and then I will pull out the graphite towards the center. Yeah, so let's blend now, starting with our Vitruvius. Take the graphite away from the edges, bring it to about half, but don't make the entire thing gray. As I keep saying always, when you're shading, both whites and grays should be used in balance. Both should be visible, then only it will add that much required dimension. Try to highlight the intersections wherever possible, the overlaps. Yes, I think we are shaded our Vitruvius. Moving on to, so take it close to the edges of the orb, blend the graphite, however leave a highlight, don't cover the entire orb, something like this. Yes, so that is how I'm going to shade all. blend like this. Yes. Now comes the chalk. So the other half of your Vitruvius, where you have not added graphite, you can add chalk. You can add shade here wherever there is an overlap or a shading opportunity. Adds a little more to your tile, a little extra darkness there to give the impression of a shadow. Continue adding your chalk. To half of your Vitruvius wherever possible. Highlight it. Yes. And then you can very comfortably use your GellyRoll. If you want to brush off excess chalk, please use a different blender and just brush off the excess chalk. Now the black tiny intersectices, you can add that mystic feel by adding a few dots with your GellyRoll, or you can leave it absolutely black. That's entirely your take. You know, wherever there are bold black sections, I'm always kind of tempted to add this mystic sky kind of a feel to my tile. You can also highlight here. I'm just adding some chalk there, and then you can just soften the chalk. And that's it. I don't think we need to do anything else to our tile. So if you want to revisit some of the lines, you can, you may. Probably you can close the ends of your tidings. Something like this. Or that's optional, you may not do it. Yeah. So I don't see the need to do it on this side. It's more or less straight line. So one last thing that you can do to your Vitruvius is ink the innermost space if you wish to. Something like this. But this is again optional. You may or may not do it. It's a very tiny thing, small thing to do. But yes, it may add a little I don't know what to call it, spunk to your Vitruvius, like this. That's it. Yeah, as if it is alive and staring. Let us close our tile. So I'm going to put in my chop somewhere sitting cozily. Always sign and date your tile. So I shall see you again with few more sessions. See you then. Bye bye.